was the signal for the start of service.
We do that every week?
We had to wait, yeah. It's a traditional Sukkot tradition.
It's like the wine glasses.
Yeah. Oh, it's on. It's going. Facebook is on. They're watching you all. It's a few minutes behind where they're watching people clean up glass. It's going. All I know is that I see the camera on YouTube.
We're fixing Facebook. YouTube works. Let's not fix Facebook, but just go to Facebook and post on Facebook or on YouTube. And if people on YouTube hear me, I just want you to know we're about to begin. We're so glad you're here.
You're not on yet.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Morristown Unitarian Fellowship. That's a thing that's going to happen this morning. My name is Stearns Matthews. I am our Director of Music Ministries, and I'm so happy to welcome you this morning. We're so happy that you're here. And before we get started, you'll notice that I'm not in my music-making clothes because we have a guest today. And I'm just going to introduce her real quick to you. Her name is Perry Smilo, very quickly. She is, I'm going to read real quick. She's been wowing audiences since the mid-90s. She's a former nonprofit entrepreneur, musical theater performer, and community educator. Perry enjoyed a 25-year career as a contemporary Jewish music composer and performer. Going to. Testing. There we go. Anyway, we're so happy she's here. You can find her after this, and I assure you that you will want to, at perrysmilo.com. You have her name in your order of service, and I'm going to hand it over to Perry for our gathering music. And her website is in the pastoral email you received this morning.
You can hear me. Good morning. You know, we plan, God laughs, right? So there you go. But we're all here together. I'm a cantorial soloist in the Jewish tradition. I visit you today as a guest to share with you some of the traditional and not so traditional music of the Jewish holiday of Sukkot. And so peppered throughout our worship this morning will be some traditional and, as I said, non-traditional. And I'll let you know when the non-traditional is coming. Pieces of music. We're going to begin today with a song that I think so many of you will already know, and I want to urge you through your masks to sing with me. This beautiful song that comes from Ecclesiastes, written by Pete Seeger, the great activist musician. And this piece of music, or rather this text from Ecclesiastes, is one of the traditional texts that's used for worship in the Jewish tradition for the holiday of Sukkot, and I welcome you to sing loudly with me now. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is is a season, turn, 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 and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep, to everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time for every purpose under heaven. May I ask a favor? In my congregation, because we're in worship, and thank you so much for that, but I just want to say that for me, as someone who is both a performer and a worship leader, may I ask that if you feel moved, you rub your hands together and send warmth, and that way we'll be able to continue in worship. Thank you so much.
Okay, good morning. So this is a good morning to rub your hands together for warmth. Welcome to the Morristown Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Tish Hamilton. I'm serving today as the worship associate on our third Sunday outside and on a beautiful September morning. Good to see you all here and online as well. We have a few announcements to share. First off, you might have seen in Alison's email this morning, we have a number of Sunday morning positions to refill now that we are in person, outdoors, and online. So here are some ways that you can help us host one another, whether you are new or a longtime member. We're looking for ushers, videographers, welcome table greeters, worship associates, you can come do this some Sunday, audio-visual techs, coffee hour host, and the new online volunteers, which are Facebook host, YouTube host, and the 12:30 Zoom coffee hour, social hour hosts. There will be training for all of these positions coming up soon, and many of these include just a once-a-month commitment. If you're interested in one of them, please email welcome@muuf.org, or let me know your name and how you'd like to volunteer. Who's the me? Is that me? Okay, you can come let me know. Next weekend, there will be 2 tables at 2 community fairs, the Bottle Hill Day on Saturday and the Morristown Festival on the Green on Sunday. We'd love your help. Please consider being a greeter at one of these tables so we can share who we are with our neighbors. You can email again, same email, welcome@muuf.org, and let us know if you can volunteer. Or you can sign up at the welcome table. Carrie Davis waving her arm there. She'll help you sign up on Sign Up Genius. Third, next Sunday, your pets are welcome here. Welcome here to the service. Or you can bring a photo or a stuffed animal representation in honor of St. Francis Day. And the good news is, if you have allergies, we're outside, so you'll be able to stay distant from the pet while admiring their cuteness. And last week, some folks asked this question. Yes, you can go inside the building to use the facilities and also to use the wheelchair ramp to pass through to the other side so you can get to the coffee hour on the terrace outside. One last note, our offering today, this morning, will be split 50-50 with the Nourish New Jersey, formerly the Community Soup Kitchen. We give half our Sunday collection each week to make a difference in our neighborhood or in the world. And now, will you join me in our chalice lighting? Which might be a challenge with the wind. All right, in unison here. It's in your order of service and it's also online in the PDF. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Yay. All right, and now for our opening reading. We'll do this together. I'll read the first, and our folks outside and our folks online will read the second, and Alison's going to read the second as well.
That's right. We can split up with the left and the right here. So the first lines are Trisha and everyone on next to the sukkah. And then the italicized lines is me and everyone on this side. So.
And it's We Bid You Welcome by Richard S. Gilbert. Okay, ready, gang? We bid you welcome, who come with weary spirit seeking rest,
who come with troubles that are too much with you, who come hurt and afraid.
We bid you welcome, who come with hope in your heart,
who come with anticipation in your step, who come proud and joyous.
We bid you welcome, who are seekers of a new faith,
who come to probe and explore, who come to learn.
We bid you welcome, who enter this hall as a homecoming,
who have found here room for your spirit, who find in this people a family.
Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on your journey, we bid you welcome.
And now let us rise in body or in spirit for our next song. It is indeed a blessing to have a cantorial soloist, Perry Smilo, with us today.
The words in Hebrew are very simple. The words are Oz. Can you hear me? Great. Oz. Just try that with me. Oz. Vizimrat. Yah. Yah is an alternative word for God. Imagine when you say Yah, all your breath is coming out of you. That is why it's the word for God. And the melody is very simple. If you care to try, please do try to sing along. Oh, Z. I'm going to sing it in a slightly different key. O Z. Vazimratya Vayahili Lishua O Z. Vazimratya Vayahili Lishua Ozi Vazimratya Vayahili Lishua Ozi Vazimratya Vayahili Lishua Ozi Ozi Vazimratya Vayahili Lishua.
Sorry, I did the thing I hate and hit over there. I want to call some of the kids forward. I need your help. We need to talk about a thing. So if you guys can put your chalk down for a second and come on up front here, or bring your chalk up here and color up front while we're chatting. I don't care. You do what you got to do. And if anyone's hiding in the woods in the Memorial Garden over there, come on over here too, because it's going to be time for class soon. I see you. Come on up. All right, so who knows what that thing is over there? That contraption. Asher, you know what it is? What is it, Asher? A sukkot. A sukkah. Sukkah. That's right. That's right. A sukkah, right? And it is a part of a Jewish tradition for the Jewish holiday. You guys can sit down if you want, or you can stand, whatever. I don't care. I'm going to stand because I have to be taller than you. And it is part of a Jewish holiday called Sukkot. And it is a holiday about hospitality. Who knows what hospitality means? Now, over here. No, sorry, Asher. You already got one. So it has the same kind of sounding word as hospital, and they take care of you in a hospital. That's right. Can we take care of people here? Yeah. How do you take care of people? How do you welcome? Anyone else? We can give them food and shelter underneath the sukkah. Yeah, there's shelter and food, right? We welcome people in and we take care of them in hospitality. We're going to make this quick to kind of come up there. But I want to tell you a quick story. So one time I was at a friend's house, and this is my fanciest friend's house. And they had a very fancy house, very fancy stuff. They had multiple forks on the table when we went to eat, but they were serving barbecue chicken because it was summertime. They were pretending to be fancy with me. And so I got my barbecue chicken, and I don't come from a fancy house at all. There are 6 children in our house, and we fight for food. There's always enough food, but we don't think so because there's a lot of us. So we were sitting there at the thing, and at the table, and I got my piece of chicken, and I got a knife and one of the several forks that were over there, and I was eating very carefully on this piece of chicken. It had the bone in it, chicken that has the bone in it and stuff. And I was struggling because that's not how I was used to eating chicken. We eat it like savages, like that's how we eat in my house. Chicken wings just like off the bone, right? And the father, my friend's dad, said, "Nick, I know you think we're fancy, but we eat our chicken off the bone just like you." And in that moment, they welcomed me into their house. They told me what was expected of me, and that's important. and they said, we're just like you. You can kind of come in, and we'll eat this chicken right off the bone, right? So sometimes it's important for us to tell people, when we welcome people in, to let them know that they're welcome and that, we're not so strange after all, right? So that's the long and short of my thing, but we got to get to class, okay? So that's what hospitality is. Sometimes welcoming people in and letting them be part of your family no matter who they are, right? And this is our big church family. So we welcome everyone in here, okay? Does that make sense to everyone? Great. Okay. Where are your teachers? Teachers, stand up. Yeah.
This song,
Yeah.
we're singing Under the Boardwalk.
Okay.
It could be really fun,
Okay.
but they should be up here with their teachers, but we could all sing as part of our, blessing our children and teachers off to their classes, under the sukkah, like under the boardwalk. And as Tish reminded us earlier, our offering today is going to be split between our fellowship and Nourish New Jersey, formerly the Community Soup Kitchen. But let us sing this super fun song together. And I'll just say one other thing, which is that there's a word called lulav, and to do it very quickly, this is a picture of what a lulav is, and we can share more about that following the service.
And you have a part to play in this song, everyone. This is the rewritten version of a song, a melody that you will know, and I imagine you love, many of you. And these words were rewritten for the holiday of Sukkot. When the month of Tishrei comes, you know it's true. And the autumn sun beats down upon me and you under the sukkah, under the sukkah. Just wait for me. And we'll spend Sukkot together, just you and me. Can you see the gourds of yellow, gold, and red? Oh, how I love to see the cranberries hanging over your head. Under the sukkah, under the sukkah. Just wait for me.
Just wait for me.
And we'll spend Sukkot together. That's where we'll be. Here we go.
Under the sukkah,
Shake the lulav.
under the sukkah,
Shake it with the etrog.
under the sukkah,
Oh, we'll celebrate.
under the sukkah,
Hey, those veggies look great under the sukkah. Sukkah. And now they say the Jews were wandering in deserts dry. But the roof of their flimsy booth, they saw the stars in the sky. Under the sukkah, under the sukkah. Just wait for me. And we'll spend Sukkot together. That's where we'll be. Under the sukkah.
under the sukkah,
Shake the lulav.
under the sukkah,
Shake it with the etrog.
under the sukkah,
Oh, we'll celebrate.
under the sukkah,
Hey, those veggies look great under the sukkah. Sukkah. So I just want to take a moment, 1 second, because I know we started late, to explain that the holiday of Sukkot is for sure a holiday about hospitality, but it also was traditionally, in ancient times, it was always the harvest holiday. That's why it comes this time of year. And it's an 8-day holiday, and it was the holiday in which the people of the Middle East would bring their food to Jerusalem to sell. And it was the celebration of the harvest time. And there are 3 of these 8-day holidays in the Jewish year, and many of the pieces of music, the liturgical pieces I'm sharing with you, they appear several times in the year. Each time there's one of these 8-day holidays. So you'll remember that anytime you see the leaves changing colors, somewhere in the world Jews are building a building like this in order to sit in it and remember the bounty of this season, and if we're lucky enough, how lucky we are to have food from the ground that we can share with one another. It's all the more appropriate that today, during the holiday of Sukkot, that you're sharing your resources with a food pantry. So thank you.
Thank you. And actually, when I was in divinity school, my Professor Levinson said, what's the 8th day of a 7-day holiday for Sukkot? So it's actually technically a 7-day holiday, but there is an 8th day when we celebrate the Torah. Yes. Yes. Well, and Perry, I'll share too. Now that our children and teachers are in their classrooms, we can ease in. We don't have to rush now.
Great.
So I want to share. Can everyone hear? First of all, is the sound good? So or good? Good. Okay, great. Then I'll move this slightly out of the way. Here we go. So one of the things that we do when we come together is name the milestones, the significant joys or sorrows, or the need for healing in our community. And I have three milestones that I'd like to share with you this morning. One, I wanted to be sure that everyone knows that Clark Paddock is recovering from a car accident, and he's now back home. And he is in a cast on his leg and also some injuries on his back. And there's an opportunity to sign up to offer a meal for the Paddock family during this time. But I invite you to send cards and let us hold Clark especially, but the entire family in our hearts. The second thing I wanted to mention is Alison Chase, who I announced about a couple of weeks ago, had a terrible fall and actually broke 3 different bones. And she's back home, and there's also an opportunity to share our bounty of food with her as well. And you can sign up again for a meal train. And we continue to send Alison our prayers of healing and also notes of support. And she's expressed gratitude for all of you who have already reached out to her. And a special gratitude to Franklin, Heller, and Wendy, who actually supported and the family, especially Don, her husband, in this difficult time. And third, I have a wonderful joy to share with this community. Mandy Heizenga, who was our congregational administrator, just passed the ministerial fellowshipping committee and is on the path to being able to be ordained. So that is truly wonderful news. So I encourage you again to, and I'll look out here in case Mandy's out there. She's probably in another congregation this morning, but she might watch later. We are so excited with you. We are brimming with joy on this wonderful day. Many blessings on your journey towards the ministry, and we are so filled with gratitude for all that you have shared with us during your time here. Let us continue in a spirit of prayer and reflective meditation. Spirit of life, Spirit of an abundant love, help us to be a people with our footsteps and our heartbeats and our spirits set forward on a path of liberation. Help us to learn together on this journey what brings us closer to compassion, justice, mercy, God. And help us to learn what separates us from those virtues and from the divine spark within all. Today, we fill this space under the rounding dome of sky
with our intentions and our aspirations, with our longing and thirsting for goodness to be visible in the world. Help us to forge a community of meaning-making and of making a difference. May all who wish to enter our house of the outdoors and indoors know that they are welcome in this place, regardless of their faith perspective, gender identity, history of oppression. And we are here to learn with every visitor how to be changed, ever changing in the direction of love. As the leaves turn and fall, may we let go of all that separates us from being fully ourselves and fully alive. All these things and so many others are our prayers, meditations, and aspirations. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. And now we turn once again to be blessed by celebration in music.
This piece that I'd like to share with you now, written by a songwriter by the name of Chava Morel from the Pacific Northwest, is another piece of traditional liturgy for the holiday of Sukkot. And it's in Hebrew, most of it, so I just want to let you know, I believe that the translation was listed here. No, maybe it wasn't. So let me just tell you. The words are Achat Sha'alti. Just one thing I ask of you, God. Allow me to be close to you. You able to hear the guitar? Terrific. So this is a modern, contemporary version of this piece of liturgy. Comes from Psalms. Achat Sha'alti me'et Adonai, Achat Sha'alti ota avakesh, Achat Sha'alti me'et Adonai, Achat Sha'alti ota avakesh, Shviti shivti bevet Adonai, Shivti shivti kol chamei chayai lachazot b'noam Adonai ulvaker b'chechalo lachazot b'noam Adonai, to gaze upon the beauty of Adonai. Achat Sha'alti me'et Adonai, Achat Sha'alti ota avakesh. One thing, I ask you, Adonai, to be with you all of my life. One thing, I ask you, Adonai, to be near you all of my life. Achat shalti met Adonai, achat shalti otah avakesh.
It is delicious to just feel the cool breeze outdoors today, to feel the remnant of summer as the seasons change, and to be here in your presence and also with you. How can we construct a life that matters? Or how can we, in the words of our annual spiritual theme, keep on moving forward down the path of a life filled with meaning? Today we turn to the Jewish holiday that has been going on all week long to help us frame that journey. We are on the 6th day of a 7-day holiday called Sukkot, which gets its name from the sukkahs, the temporary dwellings that are built outside of homes in backyards, or on the street out front, or on balconies, or for people that grew up in apartments, perhaps in a dining room or a living room. If you are strolling through a Jewish neighborhood this week, you'll find that this is one of the most visible holidays, as the landscape is dotted by sukkahs and all the neighbors are outside, including non-Jews. Neighbors and strangers alike are welcome and invited to join you in the sukkah. Moving into the sukkah for 7 days, or at least spending as much time there as possible, is about reenacting the journey that took place after the Israelites were liberated from slavery in Egypt. When people remember the Exodus story, they tend to focus on the exciting part, the 10 plagues, Moses defeating Pharaoh, the grand escape, and the parting of the Red Sea. The end. But no, the story goes on. The road to freedom is much, much longer. As you'll recall, the Israelites wandered 40 years in the wilderness in order to make it to the promised land. Freedom may have come all at once, but learning how to truly shift from a people orienting around a life in bondage to a life of liberation, that took more than a generation. Now, you may or may not have grown up with this particular holiday, but my guess is that many of you have had the experience of camping, or at least spending time in ways that bring you close to the elements and to nature. And if you haven't, I commend that experience to you. And we are in the midst of an 8-week practice of being close to the elements on Sunday morning together. What might you learn in a week set aside for such a practice with your loved ones, with neighbors, and with passers-by? On the first 2 days, you might feel more connected to your surroundings, a sense of restoration, of balance, and joy at a time set aside for celebration. Now, for some, that might not be easy to attain right away as you let go of attachments to technology or your bed or other material possessions that don't fit in that hut. And you can see you would have to make choices about what would fit in the sukkah. But hopefully, as your rhythm slows, you'll be able to pay attention to the now and to all the delights of autumn. Feel that breeze. Yes, the world grows colder, but the warmth of the sun on your cheek has a value now that was not known in summer. The long days of summer, laboring on a farm, or acknowledgement of the long days of your neighbor laboring on the farm, has yielded such sweet fruits. Apple cider, pumpkin pie bring more riches to any table than silver candlesticks, although silver candlesticks have a place in the sukkah. It is a holiday grounded first and foremost in what brings joy. Outside in a simple shelter, we can both celebrate the people and the bounty of our lives and also come to terms with the fragility of our lives and the fragility of our material situations. Joy is so foundational to Sukkot that if it is raining enough to spoil your soup, then you must recite a blessing over wine and go inside. The roof of the hut that you build is supposed to have enough spaces in it that you can see the stars at night. And so a raindrop can easily penetrate the structure. It is not considered to be fulfilling the commandments of Sukkot to endure the suffering of eating in a rainstorm when you have a home to enjoy. It's about letting go of what is material, but not a denial of joy. Yet, for as long as possible, you are encouraged to enjoy eating and even sleeping outside. Dwelling outside in temporary structures, whether a sukkah or a tent, reminds us of our connections with the rhythms of nature. We rise and set with the sun. The starlight does take our breath away. And we imagine the beauty and power of a creator or a first cause that could give rise to such a miraculous thing as life. We notice the splendor of our earth at this time as the leaves begin to turn, the green dappled by gold and orange and red, found on fruits and leaves. At first, yes, maybe we found we could not slow ourselves because we were too focused on what comes next and the work that's waiting for us. Sundays are like that too sometimes. But soon we understand the true meaning of a time set aside. Maybe we decide to hide our watches or our iPhones under a blanket. Joy can become this sacred time we have entered. Rabbi Akiva recalls that what was truly remarkable about those wilderness years was not that the Israelites were surrounded by clouds of glory, but they were an entire nation without a home or houses. They were nomads without a place of refuge, exposed to the elements, at risk from any surprise attack. They would nonetheless continue their journey in the faith that God would not desert them and that they would not desert one another. What are the essential elements of our lives? What are the things or people that we can count on, knowing that most everything is impermanent, as we heard in our opening song from Ecclesiastes, from Kohelet. This practice of giving up a solid shelter in exchange for a fragile and open dwelling can be a life-affirming spiritual practice. Rabbi Greenberg writes this, that by engaging in this practice, we can demythologize solid walls and controllable security. The holiday is not meant so much as, again, a total renunciation of material possessions or even of security, but it is a recognition of the limits of brick walls and homes. Sukkot provides the opportunity to accept the vulnerability of being human, and with this knowledge comes the desire to live more deeply. The road to freedom involved a lot of letting go, doubting, and discovering what exactly can we count on. They cried out to Moses, "If only we had died by the hands of the Lord in the land of Egypt, where we ate our fill of bread. You have brought us into the wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger." Even though they were harshly treated when in Egypt, they had food and shelter. It was a leap of faith for the Israelites to follow Moses into the wilderness, into the path of uncertainty, and to remain faithful for 40 years. Families lived essentially in a one-room hut that was open to the elements and the greed of one another, and they had to learn how to coexist, how to covenant, how to trust in order to survive. Living in the sukkah today can remind us in modern times that although thick walls are intended to protect us, they can also serve to cut us off from life, or our technology, which has so effectively connected us during this time of social distancing, can also at times sever us from one another. In the end, what we need most is each other and our relationships. On the third day, we might rise and wake in the sukkah and notice the sleeping faces of someone we love. Why don't we start every day like this? Does it really take so long to drink in the sensation of peace? How strange in a place where walls are so thin that anyone could come in and shatter the peace of morning, as I'm sure you've experienced on a camping trip. Maybe one day a crow. Or perhaps we wake alone and smell the sweet smell of wet grass and flowers that we never noticed in our backyard at this time of day. In both cases, we wait with excitement, wondering who will be the visitors that will join us. Hospitality is a central element of this week and of joy. And we here on Sundays know that we can't wait to host friends or strangers and have the blessing of meeting someone new. As the Israelites wandered through the desert for 40 years, just imagine the friendships forged. Just imagine the fights. Just imagine that journey and how closely bonded they were, with no alarm system and no bolt locks. Relationships, again, are the primary currency for protection and the primary currency for well-being. On the fourth and fifth days, the hospitality of the land, look at how the land hosts us in this harvest time, and of friends, might bring us to a place of deep gratitude for all that we have been given. On these days, we might realize that there but for the grace of God or Mother Earth, or our friends, or the kindness of strangers, do we have anything at all. On that day, we might seek to go and do likewise for another, for someone in need of grace, while our heart is still overflowing. Sitting in the hut at the end of the week, we remember to take stock of what we still have to give rather than what we have lost. It's a reminder of all we can do without. It's a spiritual practice that attunes us to separating our wants from our needs. If we didn't have this place to sleep, who would be the people who might open the door of their hearts to let us enter? It would be wonderful to keep our home forever and always, but do we share it enough with others? Yes, relationships are the best currency for love, for protection, and for joy. On the sixth day, we might wake with a sense of awe and wonder at the preciousness of each day of life. We might even feel a little high with our renewed sense of what matters most. And I know some of you have hiked on the Appalachian Trail, and perhaps that high would be a good parallel. Tents like that one symbolically and literally represent the sheltering presence of the divine over us. On that day, we might resolve to go forth changed, to become architects of structures in our lives that both offer enough shelter to shield us from the brunt of the winds and the elements, and yet allow us to take risks in the name of love in order to be truly free and fully alive. What is the cover and the ground that anchors your life? Are we too protected and cut off from reality, love, and compassion like Siddhartha was before he became the Buddha? Are we too vulnerable, placing our hopes and dreams on things that are impermanent and we cannot guarantee will travel with us down the path of life? Having let go of the gods, the false gods of many names, wealth that turns to greed, technology without moral anchor, power that becomes power over others, we begin to taste the true sources of freedom. On the seventh day, we begin to understand that what we are doing is carving out a sacred space and sacred time to behave as if we were architects of the promised land. It is that taste, the practice of a new way of being, that helps us to move down a road to real rather than illusory freedom. This holiday lasts 7 full days, and as we said earlier, really 8. And it took the Israelites a long time of wandering. It takes time to cast off the literal chains of slavery, but it takes even longer to cast off the mindset of slavery and attachments. It is not the generation of slaves who make it out of the wilderness in the story of Exodus, but rather the next one who arrives at the harvest time in the land of milk and honey. On one hand, they were literally traveling down a physical road. On another, it is the journey itself, the journey we are all on, the journey of this life and of practices of the spirit and of the heart that forge us into a people that are wise and compassionate. And then we can see on the top of the mountain the promise that lies there. Then we arrive. The holiday of Sukkot sprung to mind today, not only because it is Sukkot, but also because we are moving forward down the path of building on these grounds together a structure for hospitality, a shelter that is open to our loved ones, our friends and strangers, the addition that we hope to see right on the other side of our terrace room, which begins on the terrace. It is a structure that is open to all, but also a structure that connects us more deeply to the natural world. It will be green. It will be filled with windows so we can see the wonder and the beauty. It will reinforce our responsibility to one another and to Mother Earth. It is a structure that will only be built if we are willing to share a portion of our bounty and to invest in community, in the relationships that make all of us more secure as together in this house of practicing, moving towards the promised land. We engage here in this building, on these grounds, and in the new fellowship hall and classrooms to come, in imagining and enacting the works of compassion and care, and we respond to the call of love through acts of justice and service in the world. And it will be like a sukkah in the sense that it will be a house of joy and celebration where we gather for inspiration and beauty and the community that restores our spirits. May each one of us add a generous offering according to what we have harvested to make a welcoming house for all people possible. May our gifts of treasure, of service, and of self allow us to construct room for our spirits to soar up to the stars, and for the next generation to continue to reach for the promised land. And I end with one final story connected to this holiday. A sly fox passed a lovely vineyard, a tall, thick fence surrounded by vines on all sides. As the fox circled around the fence, he found a small hole, barely large enough for him to push his head through. The fox could see all those luscious grapes, and his mouth began to water. But the hole was too small. So you know what he did? He fasted for 3 whole days until he became so thin that the fox was able to slip through. Now inside, he was able to eat to his heart's content. He grew bigger and fatter than he had been before. Now, he wanted to leave the vineyard, but alas, the hole was too small again. So he fasted for 3 days and just about managed to slip through and out again. Turning his head towards that vineyard, the poor fox said, "Vineyard, oh vineyard, how lovely you look, and how lovely are your fruits and vines, but what good are you? Just as I came to you, so I leave you." And so the sages say, it is also with this world. Just as we come into the world empty-handed, so we leave it. And only what we have learned, as our children are learning together right now, the good deeds we have performed, and the legacy of our days remains. That we carry with us forward in our hearts, always and forever. Blessed be, my friends, one and all. May it be a joyful harvest season here. And now let us rise in body and or spirit and sing our closing song together. Thank you.
Jill, in one moment, because I'm stuck on my bracelet, which only happens when you're in front of a lot of people, of course. And I'd like to add my thank you for the opportunity to be with all of you in this beautiful place and this beautiful season. I bless you with the threefold benediction of the Hebrew Bible, which I think will be familiar to many of you. May God bless you with all good. May God keep all evil from you. And may God fill your hearts with wisdom and grace you with all truth. May God lift up God's merciful face and shine on you for all time, and may God grant you eternal peace. Eternal peace.
So a quick announcement. If you'd like to hear more about the edition that we are creating, come today on Zoom at 2 o'clock. The link is in your email that I sent out today, and I can give it to you as well following the service. Steve Parker, Helene Firm, and Paul Firm are going to share with you all of the aspects of what is yet to come in these exciting times. Let us, in our going, be blessed by loving kindness and return it to the world. And today, come to the sukkah, a home that is always open to all, and know that you, the fullness of who you are, is welcome here. And go forth and share that spirit in the world. Blessed be.